Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Women's Flag Track Derby Association North America South Regionals, hosted by the Texas Roller Girls. My co-announcer is laughing hysterically, and I think it's because she just heard me say the same thing 2 times in a row.
No, it's because you said the North-South, and I always think that's the funniest name for this tournament. Anyway, we are underway. Atlanta versus Columbia.
We're gonna
Geralamo is your first lead jammer.
Jaramillo. I have no idea, but Mustache has passed off the star has stashed the star and is now escaping the initial pass for Columbia, but Jaramillo is in the pack, out of the pack, and calling it off here with the first 4 points on the board here in favor of Atlanta. Let's do some super quick rosters.
Yeah, who do we have for Atlanta?
Atlanta, we have number 0300 Cancer Candy, 05 Sprint Julep, 06 Jaramillo, 1017 Gucci Mane, 1434 Baller Shot Caller, 18 Thump Her, 1962 Human Missile Crisis, number 21 Blackjack, number 24 Guilty Pleasure, number 242 R2 Death 2, 26 Lunacritz, 31 Erica Baduzzi, 33 Trouble Make Her, 333 Sweet and Sour, 4000 Great Wall of Gina, 454 The Merchant of Menace, 775 Prim Reaper, 961 Peace Corps.
And we are back to jam number 2, Gucci Mane jamming against Bing Bong. I like that name. That's going to be fun to say.
That's going to be super fun to say. Bing Bong, however, being ping-ponged into the inside here, being recycled back behind Atlanta by that pivot line. Ooh, tried to get low but was unsuccessful. However, Gucci Mane, very successful, picking up the second lead jammer status for Atlanta.
Bing Bong still trying to find a way through this pack. Got knocked to the infield bridge back behind the jammer line, courtesy of Atlanta, to start all over again. Gucci Mane at the top of the pack, and Columbia with a strong formation to keep her at bay, having to making her work for every single point.
Oops, sorry for the pops. I was putting on a microphone cover just to be sanitary here.
Pop.
Little bit of offense here from Blackjack coming in to send our jammer for Columbia out on the outfield here. But now we see Gucci Mane also being forced up on the outside as well. Ooh.
They hop over the apex, but Blackjack was there with just enough of a hit to not stick the landing and make Bing Bong second guess that recycling.
Yeah, go ahead and call that off here. I think they got a few more points. Excuse me. A few more points here. That's going to be 8 points total so far for Atlanta here, having picked up 4 of them in that last jam. Columbia has still been held scoreless so far, but it's only, jam 3. Sorry, I was watching my producer and my co-announcer untangle their headphones, and it was very fun.
We have a mess of chords up here.
We have a lot of chords. Oh my goodness.
So many chords. Anyway, back to the action.
Yeah, right. Painful leave wearing the star for Columbia, but up at the front of the pack and out with lead is Human Missile Crisis for Atlanta. 3rd lead jammer status in a row for the team in the red.
Painfully trying to make their way through this pack, but Atlanta not going to make it easy.
Would you say that their journey is going a little painfully?
I absolutely would. Maybe that's where they get their derby name from. Maybe that's the inspiration.
Who knows?
Regardless, star in hand, hoping to mix up those blockers enough, but it seems like Atlanta is all over it. Human Missile Crisis is back in, hot in the pack. Columbia trying to slow them down as the pack gets stretched to its ultimate limit, and multiplayer block being assessed on the pivot from Columbia.
You see Human Missile Crisis again picking up a second scoring pass so far with 8 in this jam. Painfully still with star in hand trying to find their way through, but that pivot has now taken a seat in the penalty box, so she's going to be on her own here. But Human Missile Crisis has decided that they don't need any help from anyone. 4 more points put up for Atlanta here as Painfully is once again shoved into that infield by the Atlanta blockers.
Still trying to get that initial pass, I believe, and fighting with all of her might.
Very much so. Hopefully our pivot will be able to get out and give her a little bit of assistance now, because I wouldn't want to go up against that Atlanta block either. Ooh, finally we do see the release of that pivot. Maybe they're going to come in and give Painfully a little bit of help, but oh, there we go.
A successful star pass has occurred. Our new jammer of record for Columbia will be Miss Sugar.
Miss Sugana.
Miss Sugana.
Ooh, somebody's on the ground. Okay, they're getting up. That makes me feel happier.
And while I have this break, why don't I introduce Columbia to you?
Please do.
013 Savage Patch Kid, 03 Crew, 04 Painfully, 214 Valentina Massacre, 23 Jabeast, 28 Halo, 29 Naughty or Nicely, 4032 Snack Pack. 5 Bing Bong. 5-6 Tilly Tequila. 5-9 Miss Sugana. 618 Nuss Dash. 626 Hellfire. 63 Moody. 667 Billy Goat. 9 Holly Hunter. 907 Saved by the Dell. 911 Shadow. And rounded up by number 93 Robin Banks.
Ooh, some very intense work happening here as we see the Merchant of Menace trying to fight their way through this intense defense here. Oh! Really incredible apex jump there by Mustache, but unfortunately the feet went out from under them, and they're going to recycle back just to be 100% sure that they landed completely inbounds. Oh, another recycle here going to force out here, and Mustache is going to have to recycle back behind the crowd just for a sec.
That was very interesting. All of the blockers' bodies were in the way, so all you saw was a human go up in the air and then just nothing.
Nothing after that. It's a bit like a cartoon.
It kind of seemed like, oh, that seems worrisome, but
Ooh,
hey, everyone's
45.
up, all good.
45 seconds, dude.
45 seconds to establish lead. I think this game might be closer than the score indicates at the current moment.
Maybe. Ooh, Merchant of Menace has managed to escape and calls off the jam with 4 points. Columbia still being held scoreless, but it is not for lack of effort on their part. Very, very diligent efforts there by the Columbia Jammers.
Another 4 points going to Atlanta's total, brings them up to 32. Columbia probably wanting to get a lead jam in there and maybe put up points of their own.
You can only imagine that that's what their hope is, but we are only, 6.5 minutes into this first half, so there's not exactly a panic necessary right now. So we'll see if Bing Bong can do something again for Columbia here, going up against Peace Corps for Atlanta.
Peace Corps at the top of the pack is going to get some assistance from, that is number 31.
Oh my goodness.
Erica DeBooty.
Erica DeBooty using DeBooty well.
Oh, and we have a down skater.
Uh-oh. For those of us on the stream, we don't really love to call attention to an injured skater. Thankfully, our skater is back up and heading to the bench of their own accord. Wonderful, wonderful. We love to see it. We love to hear it. And we're just glad. Glad that people are good.
And also, please bear with us if we mispronounce names. We're trying.
We are. We promise. Team timeout.
We don't intend to offend anyone.
We're trying. Team timeout has been called by Columbia. Not a bad idea right now, honestly, to just kind of check in and see where things are going.
I mean, 32 points. That could be scored in. It could be scored in a jam. That would have to be like a really dead jam with like nobody moving. But okay, 2 jams, you could get 32 points.
You could.
Absolutely.
I know that I have seen crazy 20-some point jams, but
was that when we had the jammer lap points?
We did have that 28-point bout jam in the last bout. That was the highest scoring jam of the tournament here so far by Slamwich from Tampa. I was like, oh my gosh! I watched this game with my own eyeballs less than an hour ago, and suddenly my ability to remember names just went whoop.
See, that's what happens when you're announcing. Sometimes you don't say the word properly, and then everything just kind of falls apart.
Many thank yous to our tiny track tape volunteers who are sprinting away to make sure they don't get hit. Very smart. This is some of our Texas Junior Roller Derby skaters, but enough about them. Jaramillo back picking up lead jammer in 2 seconds.
Yeah, literally 2 seconds.
Literally 2. Uh-oh.
We've got skater for Columbia. That is
going to be
Moody jamming.
Moody's jamming, unfortunately, still on this initial pass here as we see Jaramillo just running by on that outside line.
Moody finds room on that outside line, gets the star free for Columbia, but it looks like it might be for naught. Yep, Geronimo is all over it, was aware of the track positioning of the opposing jammer and decided to call it off. Still scoreless, Columbia.
Senor Poo says, how dare we mispronounce the extremely chaotic derby names people come up with. Our producer just leaned over and skeptically said, from who?
Yeah.
To be fair, that's very pot calling kettle black at the mo, but I can pronounce Senor Poo without freaking out, though, it's pretty easy. Tiffany Curry showing some love to Columbia Quad Squad. And some love coming in for Jaramillo. There was a lot of love for Jaramillo earlier when they were when they were on the track earlier today. This jam. It's been a long day, you guys.
Yes, Columbia played the first game today.
Yes, they did. That is how they got here.
I cannot remember who they played against.
Rocket City.
Rocket City. And they earned the privilege of coming up against Atlanta's Dirty South in this game number 5.
Atlanta's Dirty South being their A team, by the way. We saw the Rumblebees a little earlier.
Yeah, earlier this afternoon saw the Rumblebees taking on
Mr. City, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
Because
the air raid horn. It was interesting.
We're seeing Gucci Mame and Bing Bong up against each other again, seeing who comes out on top this time. It's Atlanta with Gucci Mane at the front, but Bing Bong getting some speed and some out. First lead jammer of the game for Columbia is Bing Bong.
And Gucci Mane hot on their trail, picking up speed as they jostle for position. Bing Bong into the pack, securing at least a couple of points. The first points of Columbia's game today.
Woo! Columbia on the board now, drawing some blood. A little bit to catch up to, but it's only been 9 minutes. This game feels like it's been going on for 3 halves already.
I feel like when you're at a tournament, all the games just sort of blur together.
They do eventually start to do that, and then you start keeping them up. You start differentiating them the same way that you did, which is going, oh yeah, that one didn't have the air raid siren in it.
Exactly. You have to find little identifiers. Woo! Oh my. Human Missile Crisis. Quick to get out of that pack. Mustache.
Oh no, getting a cut track.
The A power jam for Atlanta with Human Missile Crisis in full control.
And back in the pack now, scoring just a couple more of those blockers from Columbia to beat outside of turn 2. Looking to do so with some offense, but a big giant smash there by Robin Banks sent Human Missile Crisis into the inside. But Robin Banks is not going to be robbing any banks anytime soon. They're going to be taking a seat in that S1 penalty box here for their troubles as Human Missile Crisis tries to find their way through.
It looked like Human Missile Crisis took a sort of jersey whip off of Prim Reaper, but yes, ran in smack into the back of that Atlanta blocker. And now being released from the penalty box is Mustache.
Mustache in to try to complete the initial, but Human Missile Crisis coming out with 4 points so far in favor of Atlanta. Mustache is very diligently working to get through this pack with Star in hand.
Yep, Star in hand, hoping to at least mix these blockers up enough, and we have a completed Star pass to number 03.
But a back block on Human Missile Crisis is going to be a reversal of fortunes. Power Gem now in favor of the Columbia Quad Squad.
So that is number 03, Crew for the Quad Squad, fighting with all of their might with the Star in hand. Oh!
They did slip out of bounds, and I was worried about this picking up a
just
track
the toe stop.
Right. Oh my gosh, how depressing.
I saw it, but I wasn't sure. But I think they have rescinded the penalty, actually.
Have they? Oh, wonderful.
They are still
on the
out
track.
there. And oh my, it almost happened again.
Crew getting absolutely knocked around, but she is back on her feet. A slight little bit of delay here as Blackjack needed a moment to get up. It looked like something happened to her knee or her shin, but Blackjack is up and back to the bench on her own accord.
Some of these jammers with their double jointed ankles, they scare me. Anytime they fall, I think it
freaks me
out. It
always
always looks worse than it is, I know, but it's scary.
I made one of those like whoa whoa sounds at another game because I saw someone doing the wibble wobble and it freaked me out.
Oh yeah, or I saw someone dragging their toe stop. I was like,
please don't do that. Oh, wow. Great offense. They're coming in from Columbia to try to spring painful lead here.
We've got the Merchant of Menace jamming for Atlanta at the moment. Painfully getting a bump to the ground, and Atlanta with a nice, strong formation with 3 at the front as they regain 1 from the penalty box, but send their pivot to our S1 penalty box for 30 seconds.
Ooh, I heard that lead jammer designation. That is going to be the Merchant of Menace tiptoeing through on that inside line. We're going to see one of the blockers for the Columbia Quad Squad heading to the penalty box and a successful star pass on behalf of Columbia to Miss Shigna. Merchant of Menace back in the pack, dodging around all those blockers in turn 2 and able to get out with 4 points. But Miss Shugna is back in the pack, getting some offense from one of her blockers and trying to bust through Atlanta's wall. Unfortunately, being hit to the inside and recycled back just as we see the Merchant of Menace coming back to try to scoop a few more things out in their gondola.
I saw the Merchant of Menace come right into Thumper, and Thumper stopped her dead. And I think that will be the last time we'll see her take on Thumper.
I'm pretty sure that that's Thumper's skull, and if I ran into somebody that fast, I think it would thump my skull. Oh. Merchant of Menace coming out here. I see a direction of gameplay being called on the, I believe that was the original jammer for Columbia. Ooh. Ooh, yikes. That was an intense hit. Really good offense there by, I believe that was Robin Banks, actually. Is that Robin Banks back? Yes, it is.
But you are correct. That is painfully for Columbia sitting in the penalty box. Atlanta putting up 12 points so far in this jam. Still 20 left to go.
Really good blocking there by the last 2 Columbia blockers to hang on to the Merchant of Menace before she slipped on through. We see the return of Miss Shugna to the pack as well to try to get through. Ooh, Merchant of Menace coming in, and using their blocker is a generous term for what just happened. It felt more like a backwards assault.
A little bit, yeah. Using them as an assist to spin around that apex and putting up 20 points.
20-point jam here for Atlanta to bring their score up to 64, while Columbia is still sitting at 8.
Our S1 penalty box currently sitting empty.
Got a little info here from Viva la Evolucion, who says that the penalty was rescinded because the cut blocker was penalized themselves. They're very impressed at the awareness to get that right. That's very impressive. Thank you for calling that out. Anytime you see like really, really good like refereeing or anything in the chat, call it out. If we can see it, we'll read it out.
Or if we say we're not sure of something and you did see the penalty or think you saw something, let us know. We have got Atlanta's Peace Corps earning another lead advantage.
But Bing Bong is like chasing him down. Ooh, we saw Peace Corps come in and try to call the... Whoa! Excellent work there by Bing Bong coming through, landing that beautiful apex jump before the call to pick up all 4 points for Columbia. Atlanta only getting 1 point on that jam despite being in control.
That fourth whistle delayed just long enough to land that beautiful apex jump.
This is why you never stop until you're sure the whistle's blown.
Exactly.
This is advice I need to take, by the way. This is not a practice I regularly do. That is the first non-4-point jam that we have had. I think that is the only non-4-point jam that we have had. And it was a singular point. Ooh, whistle, a penalty whistle being blown early already, but thankfully for Atlanta, it does not seem to be on Jaramillo.
Atlanta,
oh no, it's on 2 Columbia blockers.
Atlanta absolutely locking down on Mustache. Columbia moving in to attempt to assist. Mustache opting to take off the star, but it does not prove effective. Ooh, Cancer Candy was all over it.
Crew was able to land a pretty big hit on the jammer there, but the jammer stayed in. I thought she stayed in bounds, actually, but it looks like that's going to be a cut track on Jaramillo. So we are going to have a star pass to Crew and a power jam for Columbia.
I love how Atlanta had that jammer locked down, just the 3 of them, and they had that extra blocker just hanging out like, hey, I'm here if you need me. Like, that is
goals.
Amazing.
Goals. Ideals and goals. Ooh, getting a big push there from, I believe that's Moody coming in and just going, go!
Oh my, taking a little hit and doing a little matrix move, but back up on their feet.
Crew going up against that trio at the front. Columbia was trying to hold one of the Atlanta blockers back, but they said no thank you and escaped. Meanwhile, Jaramillo back on the track here for Atlanta.
We've got Crew working furiously back and forth, but Atlanta blockers just matching their every step. Taking a trip to that infield, a bridge the long way back behind that jammer line.
Atlanta's awareness of both where their jammers are and where their fellow blockers are is truly amazing and really worth watching if you're trying to understand how to play more cohesively as a team. Like you can see here at the front hanging, oh my goodness.
Oh, hey, that's a nice score for Atlanta.
Really, really nice. It would be Jaramillo. Hold on, Columbia. Don't let her get any more points.
Excellent job by Columbia there, still maintaining that pack as it got stretched to its maximum. And the clock wound down. 4 points picked up by Columbia, 7 by Atlanta.
72 for Atlanta and 16 to Columbia with 12 minutes and 30 seconds left in this first half. Jaramillo. Okay, so I've been pronouncing, I started with Jamarillo, which was wrong. Now I did Jaramillo, and now we're finding out it's Jaramillo. Okay, see, it's a progressive thing. I promise I'm trying.
Also, I'm Canadian. I'm not used to J's being the Y sound, so
I decided to Tex-Mex it, but Gucci Mame decided to lead jammer status it while we were talking here, and Bing Bong also decided to hand off the pass there to their pivot, who went by too fast for me. That's
Miss Sugana.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my! Gucci Mame landing in a
in
cloud
the
of
splits.
dust.
Woo! They got the points. I was mostly worried about the position they landed in. Woo! Hello.
Yeah, that was almost like a baseball slide with how much dust came up there. That was.
Chris Albright says, Peace Corps summer. Get married on weekend, go to playoffs the next weekend. Is Peace Corps freshly married? Oh, best wishes to Peace Corps. That's so sweet.
It's too bad they can't hear us. We should tell the house people.
I can. And then we should sing them the wedding march.
Human missile crisis for Atlanta against Painfully.
Uh-oh.
Painfully getting... Oh my, no, that is human missile crisis. Tripping over one of the Columbia blockers.
Giving them a little bit of shelter that they didn't ask for here, but
just the pivot left to beat from Columbia, and human missile crisis is your lead jammer of record.
Painfully with the star stash here looking for the pivot, but Atlanta doing a good job of keeping the Sugana absolutely separated, but human missile crisis coming and spinning like a bullet in its chamber.
Painfully opting to hand off that star, but it looked like the Atlanta blockers were just distracted enough to make it look tempting, and they fell for it.
Human missile crisis has managed to escape the last two of the Columbia blockers here to pick up 4 points in favor of Atlanta. Star has now been handed off from Painfully to Miss Sugana, but human missile crisis in with another 4 points, distracting the rest of Columbia's blockers from providing offense.
Yep, knockout and the bridge back all the way behind that pivot line, courtesy of number 24.
It's going to be
Guilty Pleasure.
Guilty Pleasure.
I bet that's their guilty pleasures, knocking jammers out of bounds and bringing them to the sad place, as we call it.
Now, unfortunately, as we were just discussing them, they are now Guilty Pleasure picking up a guilty little penalty here and going to sit in that S1 penalty box, but Miss Sugana just being worked over, repeatedly hit out to that in or out and dragged back to or behind that pivot line. That is brutal here.
Cancer Candy and Thumper absolutely have this pivot's number at the moment.
That's a candy I don't want a treatment
this
from.
Is like, it's like watching a play on repeat. The same things keep happening. Meanwhile, Atlanta has now scored more points than Columbia's total.
Thumper is going to the penalty box here for her efforts in that last jam, and human missile crisis, as you said, coming and looking to score even more points. Now, I don't know if they were able to pick up a 1 or 2 on that last pass here, waiting for that referee call. A couple more points picked up here, so a 23-point jam for Atlanta, highest scoring jam of the game so far, not of the tournament. We're 5 points away from beating the tournament high, and Atlanta's 1 point away from the century mark. I thought there was like 22 minutes left in this game.
No.
This time is going way too fast. I'm sorry, everyone. That was crazy.
We told you the tournaments, the games are just a blur. Right now, we've got Mustache jamming against the Merchant of Menace. Mustache is at the front of the pack, but Atlanta blockers absolutely locking down.
Atlanta blockers have been killing it by taking the front here. That really gives them that advantage of being
They're
able to see
extremely
where the
effective with just 3 of them, too. So
Yeah.
it's like they
There we
just
go.
have an extra person out there just for funsies.
And that, man.
My.
That was a big hit there on the Atlanta pivot, but we do see the escape of Mustache dashing through on that inside toe stops here with the star in hand. Oh, my goodness.
A little
big hot
shoulder hit by Thumper there will send number 3 crew to the floor, but they're back up. That'll bring Atlanta over the century mark to 103. Columbia still holding strong at 16.
We got a good question from Elliot Amoroso. We got a good answer. So Elliot wants to know if for apex jumps, if the jammer lands inbounds on 1 foot but goes out of bounds, does it still count as inbounds? And Viva la Evolucion says that landing inbounds gets them the points, but then the step out of bounds loses them the position. So it counts for the points, but it does not count for the position. So yes and no is the answer to that question.
I have seen it called very differently by different ref crews, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Very much so, but it's not hard to tell that Peace Corps, the newly married Peace Corps, is our lead jammer for Atlanta, but Bing Bong is bing-bonging right around trying to come and pick up some points. Oh no, I hear a penalty whistle.
Oh my.
Uh-oh. And
standing on the outside of the line trying to call off the jam, and the whistle was delayed just enough.
Just enough to get some points here. 1 point here for Columbia. Our officials are human. Our announcers are human. Everyone is human. Sometimes you just don't see what's going on. I think we're going to have a little bit of a timeout for...
Yes, a timeout courtesy of Columbia. Why don't we give a shout out to S1 Helmets?
Please.
S1 is the proud sponsor of the Texas Roller Girls and the travel teams.
And the penalty box.
Find out more about the S1 Lifer helmet at www.s1helmets.com. That's one, like the number one. Don't spell it out. That's
Please
too
don't.
much work.
It is. Personal anecdote, I have worn S1 helmets since I started roller derby. And I love them. I'm one of those people for whom they fit really, really well. I know that everyone has a different shape head. I find they work really well for me. I have had several hits where I can definitely attribute wearing a quality helmet to my ability to get up and walk away in the condition that I did.
I had one of those hits earlier this month, and my helmet was, I am so thankful for it. I have to admit, when I changed leagues, I was so excited to get a new helmet because the thing I love about Boom the most is that we have matching white helmets.
Cute.
So I was so excited to just hop on that bandwagon.
Also, can I just be that person that if you have not replaced your helmet due to a hit in over 2 years, please replace it due to age. Foam does physically break down. And also, as we transport our helmets, we drop them. We pick them up. We clip them to things. We hit them on stuff. For your own safety, please replace your helmet every couple of years. It's really...
I think the maximum amount of time is 5. But, it takes impact regardless if your head is in it. Oh, my.
Exactly. Sorry. Speaking of impact,
Geronimo
Jaramillo coming in and just going, no! Throwing a Columbia blocker to the ground and picking up lead for Atlanta.
Meanwhile, Blackjack all over Moody from
That would make
Columbia.
me moody too.
Absolutely. Oh, trying to do a little juke to the outside, but Atlanta, Blackjack and Thumper were there all over it.
That's a brutal duo to go up against, especially when you add a few people have thrown in some shout outs here for Prim Reaper also on the track. Ooh, star pass that I didn't even see. Sneaky star pass.
Very sneaky. You couldn't see it because Atlanta was doing such a beautiful job of getting to the front of this pack and recycling.
True.
Not making this a fun time for Michigan.
No, Michigan now in the pack and eligible to score, but Blackjack is the one reeling her back into turn 2.
I think I see a kneecap or a knee pad cap on the ground.
I do see something on the inside that I'm not a big fan of, but they haven't called it for equipment, so I guess it's not as big of a deal as we think it is. Jaramillo now back in looking for some more points as Michigan is recycling back into turn 2 here by Atlanta. 2 people only waiting for her at the back here. Now 3 working to hold on to Michigan. Oh, yeah, they knocked whatever it was out of them. It seems to be a part of a wrist guard.
Oh, it might be one of those covers for the refs to indicate the team color.
Maybe.
If I were to hazard a guess, I'm not going to assume.
Jaramillo out on a 4th scoring pass with 16 points to Atlanta so far. Columbia has completed the initial, but Michigan is stuck on the initial pass, trying to get around Atlanta, still stuck in that second straightaway, but Jaramillo coming up against Atlanta in turn 3.
And like sports on replay, we see Michigan getting knocked out repeatedly to that outside bridge
Prim
back.
Reaper, the one who taking it. That is the Prim Reaper. The Prim Reaper is just marching you backwards over and over in Derby. I don't need that. But Jaramillo is not having as easy of a time this time on the go-through, and the jam is going to come to an end. This is a 19-point jam for Atlanta. They're really putting up those good double-digit jams.
3 points picked up by Columbia, bringing them up to 20.
99-cent store 19 says, yes, Prim Reaper can't stop the Reaper Sweeper. No, you can't. Alrighty. All right. That's a Texas greeting for you. We got Gucci Mane with the star and Mustache coming out, getting lead jammer, I believe, for the first time here in favor of Columbia.
Gucci Mane fighting their way through, getting knocked to that inside, but Atlanta knocking out the blocker. Knocked them out, but pile up of bodies.
That was
force Gucci Mane to detour.
That was a double smash. It was one and then two.
Mustache getting knocked to that outside. Bridges back to turn number 2, where Atlanta are ready and waiting, but in
Star pass to Thumper Skull on Atlanta's side, by the way, which was facilitated the call off of that jam. I'm sorry, you were saying?
So that was number 667, Billy Goat for Columbia on the pack on that outside, trying to get
excellent.
Trying to provide some assistance through, and it
worked.
proved effective. 4 points.
4 points to Columbia for a score of 24, but 101 points ahead is Atlanta. That sounded insulting, but I don't mean it to, because Columbia is putting on an exceptionally effective defensive
And this is one of the few
effort.
jams that Columbia managed to hold Atlanta scoreless.
We see Bing Bong with the star for Columbia and Human Missile Crisis with the star for Atlanta. But again, Columbia's defense doing a really good job of keeping track of Human Missile Crisis, which is not an easy thing to do. Human Missile Crisis did give them the slip, but
being awarded lead, just outrunning those hips of number 007, I believe.
007.
I don't believe, but Human Missile Crisis through the pack once again, puts up all 4, calls it off before Bing Bong can get through. Is it weird that I can't say Bing? I just can't say it normally.
I say it like Amy Poehler's character says the name from Inside Out.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's
Bing
always
bong.
like, Bing Bong! It's very animated, so no, you can't just say Bing Bong. Yeah, our producer is absolutely agreeing with us, and that absolutely means that I'm right. So,
Yes, if there is any way to prove something, it is being
affirmed by the person
by
nearby.
the person next to you.
Yeah. No,
Why
that's how
not?
I do things.
Merchant of Menace is back on the track, and wasting no time getting lead advantage.
One thing I do have to say I very much admire about Columbia is as soon as they hear the lead whistle, they check to make sure that it is not them, and they take the star off. That is something that I think more teams need to work on. 4 points to Merchant of Menace in the meantime, but excellent awareness by Columbia to know I'm not lead, time to look for an alternative.
No, always a good strategy to have in your pocket to take off that star. Oh,
I wish
running
I
on
could
the
do that.
outside. Blockers taking the jammer not quite out of bounds, so they hang on by those toe stops, and they sneak around to pick up 4 points. Meanwhile, we've had a star
They
pass
become
to
a real
Moody.
menace.
Oh, wow, I see what you did there.
Sorry, I should not be allowed microphones. Yes, we did have a star pass to Moody, which again facilitated this call off here, keeping Atlanta to only 8 points. Good to not let them get those multi-scoring jams in like they happened in the past.
And it looks like we might have time for at least one more jam, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Because we always say one more jam, and then it proves that there's enough time for a second because somebody calls a timeout, or you know how it goes. You play Derby, you know how
I
it
do.
goes.
And Demigore has pointed out, as I think we did earlier, but need to point out continually, this is Columbia's second game.
It is their second game of the day.
And they did not play a light game earlier. We have oh my goodness.
Mustache trying to hop that apex and then took a fall. It looked like their helmet touched the ground
but
briefly.
I'm hoping it wasn't that. They did get lead jammer status, so that the good for them. And Peace Corps is trying to chase them down, but mustache.
And the pack now starting to speed up. Columbia at the back, putting on the pressure and forcing that call off, keeping them scoreless. And we'll see if they will sneak in one more jam in this first half.
We do.
This first half flew by. I don't know about you guys.
Both teams do still have their official reviews. Columbia is down to 1 timeout. Atlanta has all 3 still. And yes, Demigore says, I think I pointed out, it's not easy to play 2 games in a row, and it's especially not easy to play 2 games in a row at this level.
No, absolutely not. And one of those on the team this morning was Freight Train. So,
Gosh.
absolutely not an easy feat to accomplish.
Oh, no. We got a
Gucci Mane thought they were free of the pack, but
insubordination penalty. Unsure what it was for, is going to send a Gucci Mane to the box. Power jam in favor of Bing Bong. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but Bing Bong does have lead.
I believe this might be Bing Bong's first successful lead status of the game. I can't tell for sure, but I don't believe. Oh, Bing Bong coming in, taking a little bit of a tumble there.
Okay, they're standing up.
Sorry, this is Bing Bong's second lead advantage. And
Elsa Stegosaurus has a question. They said, I will never understand running short points when you're down big. I can answer this. I think they're wanting to know why Columbia called off that last jam, this one beforehand. It's because they could see that Atlanta was coming up behind them and had an opportunity to score. Sometimes even when you're down, it's not worth getting points if you think that the other team's going to outstrip you and get them too. So follow us for more tips after the halftime. We'll see you then. Atlanta 139, Columbia 25.
yeah, don't go too far. We'll be back in 14 minutes.
Woo. All right, we are back to the Atlanta A team, the Dirty South, versus the Columbia Quad Squad. Atlanta's playing for us in the red with the white accents, and Columbia's playing for us in the black with the white accents. Currently, Atlanta leading with 139 points, Columbia at 25. But two things about this. Number one, putting on absolutely incredible defensive formations here is Columbia. And number two, this is their second game of the day.
Yeah, that is no small feat to accomplish, and then come to play somebody who has a current bye, like in the first round, like the Dirty South, who are proving why they are ranked as highly as they are.
Yes, and they've got their beautiful fresh legs underneath them, about to go in. Well, now they're semi-fresh. They've played half of a game going into the second period here.
But this is game number 5 on day 1. We will have one more game after this.
That is going to be the Texecutioners taking on the winner of game 2.
That was Chattanooga.
Yes, it was.
And then that'll be it for day 1, but don't worry, there's 2 full days of Derby after that.
At some point today, I'm going to actually update my bracket so I know who's playing tomorrow, but I haven't done it yet, so I just have an empty bracket with no schedule in front of me. Otherwise, I would tell you what's happening tomorrow, but I don't know.
So there's your reminder to update your bracket if you haven't.
Exactly.
Gucci Mame with a star for Atlanta against Moody. Moody trying to cut to that outside, but Atlanta there to shut that lane down.
Atlanta is excellent at just tracking left to right here with no real interruption
Their
at
lateral movement as a team is like iconic.
Yeah, almost unparalleled here. As you can see them doing a great job hanging on to Moody here, which allows Gucci Mame to spring through. And if anyone did watch the first game, you know that Columbia's jammers are not anything to sneeze at.
And Gucci Mame starting in that penalty box, so it's not an easy feat to come out. No, they didn't?
No, it wasn't a power jam. We did have a blocker for each.
That
sitting
was,
in the box. I think it was actually it wasn't the pivot, but we had a blocker for each here now. But Gucci Mame did get through, knocked briefly to the inside line there and forced to recycle back super quickly, but now out with a 4-point pass in favor of Atlanta as Moody's still struggling against those blockers. Oh! Squeaking through on that inside line with basically 1 foot here. Gucci for another 4 points, which in my mind makes her pretty Gucci. Oh!
And let's just do it again. Just a nice little apex hop as the pack is perfectly positioned at the apex, like
right in front of our camera.
Yeah. And
star pass has been made on the side of Columbia, sorry, to Mustache.
You know, when I play, if somebody jumps the apex twice in a row, sometimes I move. That might not be everyone's MO, but
no, I if I know that I'm just going to get hurt, I will move out of the way. I have done it before. I'm not breaking my back to save anybody's points. I'm sorry. But in this case, we do have 16 points in favor of Atlanta, bringing their score up to 155. Columbia still sitting at 25 points here as we head into Jam 2 of Period 2. Chris Albright says that Texas versus Chattanooga is going to be very fun. I think that's going to be a really good game. That's going to be a great game. That game might be very physical as well.
Back to the action. We've got Human Missile Crisis for Atlanta versus Painfully. Missile Crisis is at the top of the pack, gets past that last line of defense by Crew, picking up lead advantage for Atlanta.
Very quick star pass here. Again, something that I was complimenting Columbia on last time is as soon as they hear that double whistle and know that they are not lead, they whip that star off to confuse the... oh my goodness.
Somebody taking a little tumble to the side there. Swing and a miss. And
oh gosh, that was intense.
That hurt my hip watching it.
Ooh, Savage Patch Kid taking a, pardon the pun, but a savage hit there. They went down crumpled in an odd way and hard. They're okay, thankfully, but oh man. Some of those give me secondhand panic. I'm glad she's okay.
Our S1 penalty box currently sitting empty, so both teams will be at full strength.
Jam is on here with the Merchant of Menace wearing the star for Atlanta here, and Moody with the star for Columbia, trying to find that outside line. Atlanta, again, doing a perfectly great job at holding on to them here. Columbia trying to reform in front of the Merchant of Menace, but like a menace, gets through with lead jammer status. But Moody out about, I don't know, third of a track behind, chasing.
Columbia taking away some of that space on the pack as Atlanta's jammer comes back into play. Hits it and quits it. An additional 2 points going to Atlanta's total, bringing them up to 160.
I do think it's interesting that the way that we are sat, it makes it so that I can't see who the jammers are because they're facing me directly. So no hint of the numbers, none of that. I can't get the jump on who's jamming.
But eventually you start to get the style.
It's true. Like, I believe that is Mustache taking the star here for Columbia. I cannot see. Oh, it's Peace Corps. It's the Peace Corps bride. It's true. Peace Corps was married last weekend. I guess she's no longer the Peace Corps bride. She's now the Peace Corps wife.
Well,
yes.
Still technically a bride, you know.
True.
I think you're a bride for like a month. I don't know.
But Peace Corps is also lead jammer in addition to being a wife. Best wishes to her.
Mustache. Amazing footwork on those toe stops, just sidestepping along that line. And like, I think they could barely believe that they made it in. They were like,
wow, how'd that work? But no, it worked out very well in their favor here. Atlanta choosing to call the jam off. We have an official review. I'm going to go see what that's about there, Blade. Actually, I will not. I get to stay here this time. I'm normally the one that jumps off the dais at 1,000 miles an hour.
It's because a lot of announcers don't like to run, so...
I mean, I don't like to run, but it makes me feel useful.
And, like, we're able to.
And that's the other thing. I'm able to, and I'm usually moving way too fast for my own good. But it does look like the official review was called by Atlanta.
And we will bring you the details as soon as we have them. Let's talk about some of our sponsors.
Yes, please.
We have 888, revolutionizing roller derby safety with cutting-edge technology and unrivaled designs. Stay protected with 888. We are also sponsored by 187 Killer Pads. Often imitated, never duplicated. Stick with the best. 187 Killer Pads.
I love 187. Like, they're so thick and squishy.
Indeed, it's nice cushion for when you take those inevitable falls and, default to the knees.
The personal anecdote, I didn't know if we had time for this. So I got bursitis in my knees the first year that I played roller derby because I was wearing just like those thin, like buy from Target knee pads. Blade has given me a horrified look, and it's true.
It's like the Fisher Price pattern?
Kind of like that. And during my first ever bout, a Battle of the Freshies bout, I went down and did not get back up because I landed on my knee. And had to go to the doctor, got bursitis, was off skates for 6 weeks, and I switched to the 187 Killer Derby pads, and I have not had a knee-related fall injury since then.
I had 187 pads, and then I started to outgrow them, so they're being held together by tape.
Oh, no.
And then I was gifted a set of the S1 knee pads,
nice.
And it's really funny. The first practice I had, I was like, I never noticed how much I adjusted my knee pads until I didn't have to adjust my knee pads.
Proper fitting gear is important. And also, as we are discussing here, we have sponsors and we're sponsored by a bunch of different groups, but try on different manufacturers and see what works. I found out that 888 helmets don't suit my head very well, but I have teammates who can't wear S1s. So please try everything on. Make sure that it fits you right.
Like, everyone is so different.
Everyone is
so many different attributes. Like, you can't just pick one brand doesn't fit all. One size doesn't fit all.
It does not.
Even
but
your sizes here, like an American small is like not very small.
No, I don't want to talk about our terrible and awful vanity
I
sizing.
like being a small.
I'm not mad about it, but it makes it that you can't order anything at all anywhere because you're like, what size am I? A 0? A 49?
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
And we're just making random noise.
What the flick and the flock
no,
and the
we're
flop
not
and the
making
flip and the
random
flop.
noises.
No, bing bong somebody's
That
name.
is, yeah. But it can be still a random
I'm just
noise.
now wondering if I say flock or flop. K or P? Is it what the flock as in flock of geese? Is it what the flop as in somebody flopped over?
Maybe you should just avoid words that sound too similar
It doesn't sound like it. What the flock's pretty common. I hear kids say that. That's like my brother when he was telling us about it was safe for work cursing.
That must be a
Like, what are you
southern
talking
thing.
about? And he was like, yeah, you say like mother, father. I'm like, what? What?
I mean, you can.
Son of a businessman was another one that they came up with.
Or son of a beeswax. I remember that from Anchorman.
Oh, I've not heard that one.
Or son of a bee sting also.
I think that one sounds a little more natural. I think that's why son of a businessman killed me, because it sounded kind of natural. It's like, what are you, a son of a businessman? It's like, that might be a worse insult. I don't know.
And then there's also my favorite from the late Brittany Murphy, cheese and rice.
Oh, I do like that one.
And like it was just effortless. Like there was never
Yeah.
a hesitation to do the actual one.
I think the other one that I like is from The Princess and the Frog, which is Charlotte saying cheese and crackers. But speaking of cheese and crackers, what was the penalty?
Atlanta was looking for a penalty to be called on Columbia's jammer from the previous jam, and it looks like they are successful. That jammer currently sitting in the penalty box. That is Mustache. That'll give Atlanta a power start. And we can't quite see who they are sending out.
No, they're sending out someone who's getting very, very low, very wisely. That does mean
Peace Corps.
does mean they're outside of my field of vision. No, I think that Peace Corps has the makeup. Nope, this is Amarillo. Amarillo getting lead jammer status in 3 seconds.
Columbia moving back, taking away just a little bit of Jaramillo's space. Trying to stay in bounds. Nice little assist off of the teammate's jersey there.
Ooh.
That is really a testament to how durable some of these jerseys are. Like the
It's true.
extent that you can whip off of your teammate's jersey is amazing.
It's
and extremely helpful.
It is very helpful. You see that as a strategy a lot to keep your jammers in bounds here. I think that we saw Jaramillo doing that a little while ago, actually. It's pretty useful if one of your teammates happens to be nearby. Getting a little held up here, though, by Columbia. They've reformed at the front, and even with some assistance, though, we're doing a pretty good job hanging on, which gives Mustache time to get out, star in hand, completing that initial review.
And that'll bring us to the conclusion of this jam. Atlanta adding 7 points to their total, bringing them up to 171.
Apparently people enjoyed the safe for work cussing, and someone has suggested son of a biscuit.
I know a lot of French ones, but like nobody would understand what I'm saying.
Speaking of French, Elodie E says, I am in France, and I am so glad I stayed late. So you learned something.
Back to the action. Painful Lee jamming for Columbia against Gucci Mane.
Ooh,
Painful Lee is quick to get to the top of that pack, but Atlanta there with these shut down just long enough for Gucci Mane to earn lead advantage. But Painful Lee is hot on their trail.
Ooh, wow. About a third of the track behind here. Gucci Mane trying to put on speed, but painfully putting on their own brand of speed to try to catch up with Gucci Mane, who has now made it back into the pack and has decided to call it off, seeing how fast Painful Lee was coming in.
Was it painfully fast?
It was painfully fast. It did force the call up from Atlanta, keeping them from getting another 4 points. Only 2, so...
And it did create a fast-moving pack. That's something that takes a lot of energy out of the blockers.
Gosh, it really, really, really does.
Especially in this heat. My lord, I am not used to this.
People are telling Chai, who's on the house call right now, to swear. And Chai can actually say the F word. We cannot. You also cannot say it in the chat, by the way. Here we go with Human Missile Crisis getting lead jammer status in a speed so fast I'm pretty sure that the other team might want to swear.
And Moody equally taking off the star cover just as quickly, working their way up that inside line, getting a little help from number 56, Tilly Tequila, at the top of the pack now, but Atlanta just rotating seamlessly in front now. Moody free of the pack. Human Missile Crisis taking a bump to that infield, bridged a long way back by... Can't tell.
It took a couple of pretty intense hits to the inside there before calling off the jam, picking up the 4 points for Atlanta. Score is 177 for Atlanta and 27 for Columbia. We've got about 22 and a half minutes left in the second half. David Moss says that they would like to see Cancer Candy jam. I don't know if she jammed at all. In the
Cancer
first half?
Candy has been a menace to the opposing jammers,
Yes, she
so I think that is their forte. But they do have the pivot cover on, so hey, a star pass could happen. You never know. Mustache, our new jammer for Columbia, but it'll be the Merchants of Menace, who has lead in jam number 8.
Hit to the inside. Mustache is now recycling back towards that jammer line, being held up by Atlanta's defense, but really good toe stop work and awareness to stay in bounds. Oh no. All right, we're going to...
All right, a little worrisome there, but it looks like... Who is that? Sorry.
That was Mustache.
Mustache is back up under their own power.
It does look like they are going to go sit with our... Hopefully it looks like they're going to go sit with our medical staff for a second, just to like make double, triple, quadruple sure that they are.
And also, Mustache will have to sit for the next 3 jams as per WFTDA rules.
Yes, which is sometimes frustrating, but honestly, it's never a bad idea to make sure that you have everything together. You've had a second to make sure that you don't have any additional injuries, because sometimes after the initial adrenaline wears off, you realize you got bumped somewhere else or something else is bothering you. So yes, definitely a good...
I find
good
head
policy.
hits too, like there's like the physical pain portion, and then there's like the emotional.
Yeah, it's
the
scary.
Emotional can be so much more. Like
it's very scary,
frustrating, it's scary, and
Yeah.
so you get that like secondary kind of panic or whatever. And it looks like
Team
Columbia.
timeout to Columbia. Not a bad idea. They did just have one of their skaters go down pretty hard. Not a bad idea to just get together and have a little regroup, and talk about the remaining about 22 minutes in this game.
Yeah, it's Columbia on their second game of the day, earning this privilege of winning the first game of the day. That's not easy either, playing the first game of the day and then playing like the second last.
It's a lot. And you were mentioning that the first team had Freight Train on it. I came to visit Texas Roller Girls just when I lived in Maryland a few years ago, and we were doing a drill. And she didn't even try to hit me. It wasn't even like, get low and practice your hit. She just like approached me at a speed, and I ended up in Milwaukee. Yeah, the train Believe it or not, Chip, the train did have a ticket directly to Milwaukee that day. It was a little bit of a surprise.
Oh yeah, I think there's a photo of me from RollerCon at one of the Rydell showcase bouts where I am like airborne from Freight Train. But you know what? I'm not even mad about it.
Oh no, I wasn't mad about it. It was like, as it was happening in my brain, I was like, I don't know what else you expected standing right there. Falling down while having a lecture with yourself is an interesting experience.
All right, back to the action. Peace Corps.
Peace Corps. It's the
Peace Corps
Bride
against Painfully. Peace Corps at the top of the pack. Columbia rotating furiously in front, has 2 left to beat. Now 1, no, now 2 as they keep rotating. Pack getting extended to its absolute maximum.
Both of these teams really good at having lateral movements on their tripods. They're like triple blade propellers just spinning around in unison.
painfully immediately taking off. That star is met by Cancer Candy on the line. Cancer Candy escorting her to the infield.
She's too
and
busy
bridge back.
escorting jammers to the inside to jam herself right now, as we can see.
Yes, and Atlanta's jammers are doing an amazing job.
Yes, they are. Peace Corps, while being held up a little bit by Columbia's Quad Squad right now, is on a scoring pass, painfully still attempting to complete the initial pass, though does have star in hand looking for the pivot. However, the blockers for Columbia a little bit busy right now trying to hang on to Peace Corps, but we do see painfully escaping, putting the star back on, having completed the initial pass for Columbia.
Yep, puts the star back on, calls it off. 4 points to Atlanta, holding Columbia scoreless. But if we could get points for style, we totally would.
Tamara Nova says, I stood still as a tree while freight train juked through and I was terrified. It can be a lot when, especially the first time it happens, if you get that experience for a D1 player to be coming at you, and it's a lot. And it's not something you're always prepared for, but I wasn't prepared to see Robin Banks with the star for Columbia. New jammer alert.
But we have Haralimo for Atlanta, but that will be Columbia's Robin Banks earning lead advantage. Their
third lead jam in this game. We do see also a star pass to Blackjack from Atlanta, but Robin Banks threw on a scoring pass for Columbia and picking up speed. Looks like they're going to be
Robin Banks going to let us watch a Blackjack jam?
Oh,
indeed she will.
I think Robin Banks is too busy coming in to try to rob their own points, because Robin Banks coming in with a fury, but Blackjack beating her to the punch by getting out with 4 points in favor of Atlanta.
Oh, and a penalty will send Robin Banks to the penalty box. So
forearm on Robin Banks, robbing herself of that opportunity.
We get a 1 minute power jam with Blackjack. This is a treat that we are rarely awarded.
Yeah, I'm not mad. We might just go quiet for a minute and watch the game.
The smile on Blackjack's face feels about the same.
Yes, a little beautiful reindeer hop on that inside by
so
Blackjack.
Graceful and delicate.
Yes, what dressage
just
course
no big
can
deal
I take for that?
It's so funny that when she skates, she's so elegant, but then when she blocks, it's so like.
It's brutal.
It's brutal. Like, I don't want to say brutal, but like it's hard.
It is a brutal
and
hit.
then she's a gazelle when she's jamming.
Exactly. Ooh, Robin Banks now back in and trying to get some headway here. Robin Banks coming in like a scrap fighter.
Yeah, and taking a tumble on that infield and will be bridge back.
Blackjack also being recycled back, so we're just doing some.
Let's just go back to that jammer line and just start all over. I mean,
oh no, it looks like a cut track penalty on Robin Banks. 2 penalties for Columbia here. Now Blackjack going to finish off in a power jam, and Atlanta will have a power start.
Yes,
in the next
as
jam.
our remaining seconds tick down, Blackjack taking a look at that scoreboard, getting knocked to the outside and opting, you know what, I've had enough for this jam.
Just holding up those hands like, you cannot make me do a thing.
16-point jam
to
for
bring
Blackjack.
them up over the double-century mark.
But Columbia answering with 7 points of their own, bringing them up to 34.
This is a good jam. This is a very exciting jam. 2 jammer penalties, a pass to Blackjack.
And we got to watch Blackjack jam for a whole minute.
It was so fun. And we got to see Atlanta get over the double-century mark with 201 points. And we've got about 17 and a half minutes in with Gucci Mame on the line for Atlanta picking up lead jammer status, while Robin Banks, unfortunately, is sitting in the penalty box looking a little disappointed.
In our S1-sponsored penalty box, Gucci Mame coming back around the track. Atlanta blockers moving in. Oh, no. It looks like a tumble of bodies.
Is she okay? Oh, no. All right, we are back here now. Moody back up on her feet and, well, skates off, equipment up, but Moody is standing and walking on her own power to the medic bench. She will be looked at very thoroughly by our medical officials. Thank you to all of our volunteers, by the way, here to make sure that our skaters stay as safe as possible.
Yeah, that was just a jumbly mess over at turn number 2, and hey, accidents happen. And
speaking of what the flocks, wow. I've never seen two people fall down like that and then roll like they were in a cartoon at Derby before. And limbs can go, I mean, I'm making a bit of a joke, but limbs can go everywhere when that happens. And when you are wearing helmets and skates and other heavy stuff, it's just,
all I can think of right now is a cartoon, you know, when like something, like things are fighting and it's just a dust cloud and you see like a limb fly out.
It's true.
That's what the pack looks like sometimes.
It is abundantly true.
You can't tell like whose arm is whose or who's tripping whose, and
then you just
sometimes you're tripping your own teammate,
and the next thing you know, there's two people in the penalty box and you don't know why.
Yeah. It all happened so fast.
It was just so fast.
But it looks like our official timeout may be winding down.
I think Stelly is pointing out that the injury son on the will be right back is serving. And
oh my, is it one of those like 80s songs like from PBS? 70s, oh my god, I'm not old enough to know that. So we have got Human Missile Crisis jamming against Robin Banks.
Robin Banks still, just made it back out here.
This is Robin's third jam in a row.
That is
not
penalties.
An easy feat to accomplish.
Unfortunately, just kept getting penalties and penalties and penalties.
And then there were official reviews in between those penalties.
There was a lot happening here.
I think they have some fresh legs right now.
Hope so, but no lead jammer status established here yet. Full 33 seconds in. We do see Human Missile Crisis up at the front of the pack, which is now in straightaway 2 here. Robin Banks trying to fight through for the initial pass. Lead is still open. I believe this may be the longest we've gone without established lead in a jam here. Now coming up to 45 seconds. Hit to the outside there on one of the blockers for Columbia here, but still no movement towards establishing a lead jammer. A penalty whistle.
I'm hearing our house announcers calling a cut track.
Yep, on Human Missile Crisis. Unfortunately, going to be a power jam. Not unfortunately. Unfortunately for Atlanta. Fortunately for Columbia, a power jam in favor of Robin Banks.
But they have passed the star. That is number 04, Painfully. So unless the star is on their head, there will be no lead in this
there's
jam.
No lead at all because the star was passed.
Exactly.
This is a full 2-minute jam here. Finally, Painfully has managed to get it out with only 33
this
seconds
is the
left.
Initial pass for Columbia. So
goodness.
Atlanta ready and waiting on that pivot line.
Painfully back in and eligible to score here as we have 20 seconds left in this jam. Atlanta speeding up, just racing to meet them here. We do see the return of the Human Missile Crisis to the track. Initial pass has not been completed by the Human Missile Crisis with only 6 seconds left on this jam. Painfully scoring.
R2 Def 2 on Atlanta, absolutely all over this jammer from Columbia, making it not an easy pass. Looks like points were picked up, though. All 4 points going to Columbia.
Well done to Columbia. Score now at 38 for Columbia with Atlanta at 2:03. We've got literally just under 15 minutes left in this second half.
Our S1 penalty box currently occupied by the pivot for Atlanta, so slight pack advantage will go to Columbia, but not for long as the pivot is already standing and the pivot returns to the track.
Tilly Tequilia with the star for Columbia. I don't know if they've started with the star yet before.
This is their
first time?
First start with the star, I believe.
Going up against the Merchant of Menace here. Miss Shigana did take a hit there, but it looks like she was just turtling to keep safe, not actually hurt, thankfully. Merchant of Menace here, being absolutely landed there by Valentina, but back up and still trying to complete the initial pass for lead. We see Tilly at the back trying to shove through Atlanta's defense, which is not a feat I ever want to attempt.
And straight up the middle, the Merchant of Menace earning a lead advantage for Atlanta. It's like Columbia blocker will be sent to the penalty box.
Yes, indeed, and Merchant of Menace now back in and scoring, getting around those Columbia blockers here, but Tilly Tequilia still being held up by Atlanta at the front of the pack here now in turn 3. Merchant of Menace coming in a little bit fast here, but slowing down slightly before making contact with Columbia's blockers. But doesn't look like the speed was needed as they walked to the outside, swooped to the inside, and came through with 4 more points in favor of Atlanta. 8 so far in the pocket.
Yeah, I think that was Cancer Candy there, helping to open up a wide lane number 1 right around that turn to make it one easy pass for Merchant of Menace. You know, sometimes it's nice to just get one easy one in there after how hard these jammers have been fighting. It gets past the hips of number 59. That's Miss Shugana.
Miss Shugana
4 more points.
Now holding the star here, having taken it from Tilly to Kilia. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's Crew.
But Thumper, getting that last piece of the jammer, not quite out of bounds.
Merchant of Menace being chased down by Crew here. I hear a penalty whistle being blown, not sure on who. Ooh, Merchant of Menace choosing to call it, I guess sensing that Crew was about to jump on them.
And Thumper there, beautiful communication of like, hey, I've got you on this side, follow me. I'll lead you the way. To 19 points, no less.
Yeah, that's not a small feat here. 222 to Atlanta with Columbia at 38. 12 and a half minutes. Oh, you might know this one, Blade. Which I'm now forgetting. Penalty is marked by P. Chip, or anyone who knows. Which penalty is P? Ooh, in the meantime, lead jammer here for the Peace Corps Pride.
We've got Saved by the Dell, their first time with the star for Columbia.
Peace
out
for
of the
legal position.
Sorry. And our star's been passed now to Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. The chat was actually just wondering where Bing Bong went. The answer is to being the pivot, not the starting jammer. So Bing Bong is still here. Maybe they were just trying a turnaround. And I would like to correct myself. DQ 9001 says that P stands for plot twist.
Oh, absolutely. I am in full agreement of that.
Excuse me. My allergies are super annoying right now. Heading into this next jam here, we have a couple of jammers that I couldn't actually see. Miss Shugana, I believe, starting with the star for the first time for Columbia. And we have Jaramillo on the line with lead also for Atlanta.
Oh, my. Dancing on those toe stops on the inside, but just stepping out enough to force the recycle behind the jammer line. Takes a nice little jersey assist off of Thumper. I don't think Thumper has left the track in a few jams now.
Unsure, but there has been a star pass on the side of Columbia once again to Crew, now coming in with the star. Oh, wow, big hit there on Jaramillo.
Taking a tumble to that outside, a little bit of a barrel roll, but still manages to call it off in time.
And pick up 2 points in favor of Atlanta. Thank you to our track repair team, by the way, which is not easy. This is a very slippery floor. It's a very slidey floor, but thank you so much for putting down the tape for our officials so they can very easily tell where our boundaries are. Getting underway again with Gucci Mane with the star for Atlanta, and Saved by the Dell taking the star for the first time, I think, for their team, the Columbia Quad Squad. Oh.
Gucci Mane at the top of the pack splits the difference between the remaining 2 blockers from Columbia. Secures lead advantage for Atlanta.
Saved by the Dell is handing the star off to Bing Bong, who I guess my theory was correct, is now a pivot. Wow! Gucci Mane coming in on 1 foot, ducking down while also keeping a foot up. You need to just go re-watch that because I can't explain it further.
I think that might have been some muscle tiredness too. That's when your legs are just like you fall and your legs are just like, no, we're not getting up right now. No.
That was wild. I like it. And it got 3 points in the favor of Atlanta to bring their score up to 230. Columbia hanging on at 38. Under 10 minutes left in this game, so it's been very exciting.
Blockers taking away that space as our 5 seconds roll down. Human Missile Crisis up against Miss Shugana.
Miss Shugana looking for that inside line, but Atlanta beating her to it, giving time for the Human Missile Crisis to find their way through, picking up lead jammer status once again in favor of Atlanta. We do see Miss Shugana now taking the star off, once again showing off that incredible awareness about jammer status here, looking for the pivot. I believe that's Crew hanging out at the front. Ooh! Not quite knocking them out of bounds, but that was a good hit there from Crew on Human Missile Crisis, but Human Missile Crisis able to get around and pick up all 4 points for Atlanta, now coming up to look for a second scoring pass. I thought Miss Shugana was dropping back to do some offense.
It did look like that for just a moment, but It was actually the bridge. Oh, beautiful star pass around. That will be Crew, your new jammer for Columbia.
Crew has managed to escape from the pack here just as Human Missile Crisis comes in on a third scoring pass and calls it up. Painfully doing some beautiful skips and smiling there as they tweedle around the outside heading back to the bench at the end of that jam.
So our producer Chip gave me some info at halftime. Atlanta having a solid 5 jammer rotation, not deferring from it at all. And it seems like Columbia is mixing it up a little bit in the second half, testing out some different plays.
Interesting to see how people do change up their strategies depending. I mean, every team is different. We see Saved by the Dell taking the star for the second time for Columbia. This is just the second time we've seen her with the star for Columbia here, but the Merchant of Menace, a regular fixture on the Atlanta jammer line, back now with the star at the back of the pack being held up by Columbia, even with a little bit of offense there. Ooh, wow.
Saved by the Dell looks like has the cover in their hand.
Interestingly.
Which is not something I would expect. Oh, going for the pivot pass looks like to Bing Bong.
Yeah.
The attempted pivot pass. Those Atlanta blockers absolutely just not allowing anything to happen without their permission.
Merchant of Menace.
You shall not pass.
No, but Merchant of Menace did pass. They picked up lead jammer status in favor of Atlanta here. Ooh, Saved by the Dell coming in and just blowing her out. Nice.
A little bing and a bong on the outside, and Bing Bong at it again.
Giving a Bing Bong to Merchant of Menace there.
Before taking on the tripod from Atlanta.
Taking a bit of a Bing Bong themselves.
From, I think that was Baller Shot Caller. Being bridged back by Prim Reaper. Again, Bing Bong trying that outside line. And will be bridged back now, courtesy of R2 Death 2.
We still see the Merchant of Menace trying to fight their way through Columbia's defense up at the front in turn 3 here. And 2 more to beat. Now I believe they're getting some offense here.
That looks like Blackjack moving in and
clearing Columbia out of the way.
Absolutely. Looks like Bing Bong taking a little bing to the outside and will be bridged the long way back by Blackjack.
Bing Bong still trying very diligently to get through the the Atlanta defense. Columbia dropping back to provide a little bit of offense, but they are going to have to reform and try to stop the Merchant of Menace, who is coming in again on a third scoring pass.
Doing laps around this pack, making those first 2 passes looked easy, but now not as easy. So that will bring our jam to a conclusion. 10 points added to Atlanta's total, bringing them to 252 versus Columbia's 38. We've got just under 6 minutes left in the second half. And if you're craving more Derby today, don't worry. We have one more game for you.
It's true.
It'll be the Texas B team again. Sorry, Texas A team or B team? The Texas A team against Chattanooga, who earned the privilege of playing Texas by beating Dallas this morning.
But for now, we have Peace Corps taking the star once again for Atlanta, trying to find the inside line. But it's Painful Lee finding the outside line. I believe first time Painful Lee able to pick up lead jammer status for Columbia, but they have picked up several points. Let's see if they're going to do it now. Peace Corps trying to push her way through like a bride going for the last sample dress at David's here, but unfortunately not quite as successful
during the bridal sale.
During the bridal sale, during the Filey's Basement running of the brides. But best wishes, yay, for Peace Corps, who has managed to escape. Painful Lee trying to get around on that outside line, but deciding to call the jam off before another pass can come. Exchanging a beautiful high five with Thumper.
Atlanta taking some notes from Columbia and doing that nice little star takeoff as soon as lead was awarded to the other team, but opted to keep that star.
Just because you take off the star does not mean you have to pass it, but it is great to confuse people because what if I do? What if I do?
I did that once where I fell down and I had my star in the hand. My pivot came back and I was like, no, just get in a better spot and then I'll pass it. And every blocker went for her, so I just ran for it.
That's like the kind of thing that you as a pivot dream of.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to be your decoy.
Absolutely.
It's never worked for me.
I didn't think it was going to work that way, but I was fully ready to pass my star off to my pivot, who is like a amazing jammer. And I was like, oh, hey, I can do this. I got this.
I bet the other team was like, what the flock?
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't said that in so long that it's now just stuck in my head. Like the song that I got stuck in my head this morning, which was Wooly Bully.
I unfortunately watched the 2 Sister Act movies recently, so I have had religious songs stuck in my head, and I hate it and not at the same time. Like, Whoopi Goldberg puts a pretty cool spin on those religious songs, but I still don't like having Jesus songs in my head for some reason. I will follow you.
Oh my gosh, I don't like that song very much. I went to Catholic school, so I sang a lot of them. But ooh, Jaramillo picking up lead. Jammer says, I thought they put a foot down, but I guess they did not. Good for Atlanta picking up lead here as we see Bing Bong still trying to struggle through on the Columbia side. Jaramillo coming in with some speed, looking to find some points. Ooh, unfortunately, just kind of finding the inside line and a recycle back.
That will be courtesy of
Bing Bong.
Bridging the long way back, half a track's worth. So Geronimo with speed cuts through the middle of that 3-wall, just challenging those arm lengths. They were forced to relent. An easy pass for Geronimo and back into the fray. Just doing a little spin move off of Columbia, but stepping out just enough to make them rethink and recycle safely.
Bing Bong finally
outside.
Found the outside line to complete the initial pass, but Jaramillo did complete that second scoring pass. Oh no, Atlanta got one more in front of Bing Bong, was able to hold them up for a few more seconds, increasing the distance between Jaramillo, who is now making contact with that pack, through and around, calling it off with a beautiful spin for another 4-point pass in favor of Atlanta. 12 points picked up by Atlanta in this jam to bring their score up to 264 in the last 3.5 minutes of this game, with Columbia sitting at 39 points.
Okay, that is some talent right there. Dancing, like twirling on your toe stops on the inside line and calling it off.
Unreal.
Like, that is a whole lot of movement. My brain would probably just shut down and like do something, and people would be like, "What are you signaling right now?"
I think the other reason I can't jam is because I have no coherent ability to signal what I need. Let's see if Meshuggah or Gucci Mame are any better at it.
Meshuggah almost getting room to run, but it's Gucci Mame out first.
I wanted to see Meshuggah get the lead on her just once,
but Cancer Candy once again giving Meshuggah just the work over here. A bridge back the long way to the top of the apex. She'll get to start all over again.
Columbia hanging out at the pivot line here, ready to receive Gucci Mame, who came in with an intensity and is now looking to score, getting some offense here from one of her blockers. Meanwhile, the remaining 3 Atlanta blockers are hanging on to Meshuggah at the back of the pack, who is by the pivot line with star in hand, looking for her pivot. However, the pivot is being used to bridge right now, but Savage Patch Kid now able to come back and maybe take a pass, as Gucci Mame has completed a first scoring pass in favor of Atlanta, now coming in looking for a second.
Erica DeBooty was all over the jammer from Columbia, but unfortunately will incur a high block penalty or a forearm penalty. Forearm penalty.
Oh, wow.
So we'll spend 30 seconds in that box. But doing a great job of bridging their teammates and knocking the jammer down at the same time.
Gucci Mame. Savage Patch Kids has now received the star on behalf of Columbia and is coming around looking to score. Gucci Mame calling off the jam here, picking up one more point in favor of Atlanta, so they now sit with 9 points and a score of 273. Columbia sitting at 39 as we have under 2 minutes.
Something like it. I don't know. Let's say 2 more jams. Let's say 1 more jam, and it turns out to be 2.
I know.
Everyone always wants 1 more jam. Even like as hard as they've played for the whole hour, they just want 1 more.
Everyone just wants 1 more of anything. 1 more cookie, 1 more jam, 5 more minutes of sleep.
$5 more dollars.
Exactly.
Human missile crisis for Atlanta, dancing on those toe stops along the outside.
Saved by the Dell, jamming there for Columbia. Still being stuck, but finding a little bit of room on the outside. Oh no! Taking a hit that knocked them to the ground, which does allow Atlanta to kind of take control of them again, but Human Missile coming in, spinning and speeding and taking a bit of a spill here as they come into contact with Columbia. Everyone in turn 2 here as Human Missile Crisis gets out to the inside after about 3 people got pushed and fell down.
Yeah, just a jumble of bodies along these corners sometimes.
Saved by the Dell, still struggling on that out.
Bing Bong trying to get a piece of Human Missile Crisis did not quite work, so Bing Bong getting to the front of that pack to join their teammates as Human Missile Crisis has 1 left to beat, now is free of the pack, putting up 4 more points.
Saved by the Dell, still with star on head, is trying to get out here, looking for some offense from the rest of their blocking formation, but Columbia's going to have to drop back and defend against Human Missile Crisis, but that does give Saved by the Dell an opportunity to get out and complete the initial pass in favor of Columbia, as just as we see Human Missile Crisis coming in a bit like a human missile, just blowing Columbia out of her way.
There's Blackjack capturing Saved by the Dell as they come into the fray and escorting them to the 3-wall provided by Atlanta.
Gently and kindly saying, hey, Dell, why don't you go right here as we allow Human Missile Crisis to come through for some points? But Columbia said, I don't want those points to be that easy, and is doing a pretty good job of hanging on to Human Missile Crisis at the front of this pack. They did manage to find their way through on the inside line for another 4 points. We have run out of period time and are running exclusively on jam time, which I think Atlanta must have noticed because they decided to call this off after picking up 16 points in this final jam for an unofficial score of...
That'll be 289-239 if everything is official. We'll just wait for the officials to dot the T's, cross the I's, you know.
Something like that, something like that.
And Columbia picking up 3 points in that jam, bringing them up to 42. Amazing effort by both teams. Atlanta will advance to the next game.
Yes, they will. And I do believe we will see Columbia again tomorrow in our consolation bracket. But thank you to everyone for joining. Don't go too far because we are going to have our next game coming up. That is going to be our Texecutioners taking on Chattanooga Roller Derby from earlier today.
I have been Sonia Blade.
And I have been Nikki Tricky Savvy, and our producer has been Chip Queso, and our camera operator has been the wonderful Thin Mint.
And thanks for joining us.